Are you ready to take off but feel weighed down? Just like a plane can't soar with too much baggage, we can't grow when we're carrying fear and unforgiveness. That's where Fear and Forgiveness, a 16-day devotional and fasting journal, comes in. This book was created to help you release what's holding you back and move forward. Whether you use it as a standalone devotional or pair it with fasting, these 16 days will transform your heart, mind, and spirit. It's time to let go and rise higher. Grab your copy of Fear and Forgiveness today at barnesandnoble.com. Welcome to the G.L.O.E podcast, where we talk all things God, life, the ups and downs, organization, because chaos is not cute, and entrepreneurship, aka chasing those dreams. Here, we glow boldly and live purposefully. I'm your host, Angel, and around here, we keep it real, mixing faith, strategy, and a few laughs along the way. Whether you're trying to get your business together, organize your life, or just need a little motivation, you're in the right place. If you've been hanging around for a while, welcome back, and I hope you bought a friend. If you're new here, welcome. Get comfy and stay a while. Today, I am chatting with Heather Jones once again. Heather was on here last year on 2 different episodes. I meant to look them up for you guys, but I completely forgot. I do remember that one episode was titled, I think, like my entrepreneurial journey with Heather Jones, and the other one was something along the lines of imposter syndrome, but I'll link them in the show notes so you all can go back and check them out. But let's welcome Heather back. Hi, Heather. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I can't stay away. I keep
You
coming back because I love chatting with you.
No, it's fine. I love chatting with you too. It's so much fun. We did the IG live. That was the end of last year that I think we did the IG live, and then we recorded
Mhm.
for Heather's podcast as well. For Heather's YouTube show / podcast. So yeah, that was a fun time. So today we are just gonna chat and catch up. And Heather, tell us what's new, what you've been up to, what's going on.
Okay. So I'm a business owner, right? I mean, we all are
Yes.
here, right? But everything is there's always new stuff. So,
Yes.
okay. The most exciting thing that's going on right now is I launched a new um, workshop and program to go along with that
Okay.
workshop
Tell us
uh,
all about it.
this year. Yeah. Okay. So the workshop, it's a 3-hour workshop. So it's an intensive. It's a goal
Okay.
setting.
Ooh, I like that.
But I teach goal setting a little different than the typical person because I'm a life coach. And so it's not just strategy for me, it's mindset. So I have this workshop that sets it up where we get to daydream. If you don't know exactly what you want to do, and a lot of people don't, you get to daydream about what you want to do. Take all those limits that we normally put on ourselves as adults because, reality and logic and all the shenanigans that kind of stifle the dreaming that we did as we were kids. And so we eliminate all of that and we actually go back and we daydream and we remove the limits and we see like what is really true at the core and the heart of what these women want to be doing. If
Okay.
nobody told them there's a cap, you can't do that, what would they truly want to be doing? And so we do that in this workshop. So we daydream, and then we actually implement specifics in the goals, a path. What is your
Mhm.
very first step you're going to take towards this, and how do you turn this into a habit? So we implement all the steps that they need to be successful in actually achieving this goal, and we talk about the accountability to help keep you on track, and the mindset that goes with it, because most of what takes people off track is the mindset.
Right.
So that's the new workshop. I'm super pumped. I ran the first one this month and it was so good.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And while you were saying that, I had a question in my head, and you must have read my mind because you answered the question without knowing that you answered it. So when you're talking about it, I was going to ask, like, how is your workshop different than like a vision board? Because a lot of people do like vision board parties. But then when you said that you all actually sit down and talk about what step you're going to take and the accountability of it, like, I think that's so great because a lot of times they'll do the vision board or they'll do the goal setting, and then that's it. And it's like, it's great, you have this pretty vision board sitting up, but you have no plan on how to take the actions on it. So it's kind of like, why did you do it, if you're just going to sit there and look at it and not take action on it? So that's good. So how did the first workshop go?
So good. So we actually do vision boards in the workshop. Well, I call them like
Okay.
mini digital vision boards because it's not the primary focus of the workshop. The goal, we want to see what what these women really want to be doing. And so we spend the time doing that. But more importantly, we identify the one thing that really stands out to them. And then we pave the way for what that looks like. And we start the implementation process right on, like during the call on the workshop. So
Okay.
it went amazing. Actually, some of the feedback I got back was I've been to other workshops and they were good, very informative, but I left and I wasn't sure what the next step was. And that was the difference that they were able to take from that. So, yeah,
Okay.
great
Yeah.
feedback. And I enjoyed doing it. So that makes a difference when the person
Mhm.
who's running it enjoys it. So, yeah, it
Yes,
was good. It
it
was really
does.
good.
And I love that, again, that the vision board is not the primary focus of it because sometimes we get so focused on like making things look pretty
Yeah.
that then once it's done, you're just kind of like, oh, okay, I'm done. I did a vision board maybe 2 years ago with someone, and while we were doing it, it was all fun, and, we're printing out the
Yeah.
stuff, and we're putting the stuff on it, and I remember I hung it up on my wall, they say hang it up in a space where you can see it, and I hung it up on my wall, and I kinda glanced at it every now and then, and sometimes I'd be like, "Ooh, I haven't done that yet. Oh, I haven't done that yet. Okay, I need to get to it," but I didn't come up with a plan on how to get to it. It was just there and I knew what I wanted. So I like that you said the vision board of it's just a mini aspect of it and it's more so focused on how you're going to get there and how you're going to achieve that. So
Yeah, and then
yeah.
even with a plan, right? Because we're human, and I don't think there is can say this with a significant amount of confidence. I don't think there's a single solitary one of us that doesn't have mindset hurdles along the way,
Oh yeah.
right? And just knowing what I know about, like, for entrepreneurs, I happen to have the statistic here that I know I can pull from my brain and I can tell you about 80% of us experience imposter syndrome, which comes along with self doubt and the inner critic. So, mindset issues, as well as identity level issues. So, if you're getting stuck on that stuff when you're setting these goals and you're on the path, and then suddenly you're like, this just got really scary, something happened. Now, like the fear kicks in and it stops you. And then what do you do? So we attend to that. From my perspective, that's maybe one of the most important things that is almost never touched on when you do things like goal setting.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. Well, I'm excited for you in this workshop, Heather. So how often are you doing the workshops? Is it a once a month thing or how
Mhm.
often?
Yep, once a month.
Once
So
a
the
month.
3 hours is pretty draining. I love doing it. The energy is incredible on the call. I call it a call. Like we're on screen, but the
Okay.
energy is incredible when we're on it. But by the time I'm done, I have given so much. I'm just wiped. I don't think I could do it more than once a month.
I understand that. That makes sense because I mean, it's intense. It's 3 hours, and I'm pretty sure with something like that, you could go on for way longer than 3 hours. You could do like 2 days or something, depending on what people are talking about. So I can imagine that it's pretty intense, and that you don't want to do too much of it because you don't want to get overwhelmed, and you don't want to get to the point where you don't like it or you don't enjoy it anymore. So
Yeah,
makes sense.
absolutely.
Okay, so we have the workshop going on. What else do we have going on, Heather?
So that workshop is a bridge to a new group coaching that I just rolled out. So yeah, they're sisters. Although of
Okay.
course with the group coaching we do a lot more than goal setting. We do all of the things that help somebody thrive as a whole person. So that I work with business owners, but nobody's just a business owner.
Sure.
And I come
No.
from the school of if something is impacting you in one area of your life, no matter how hard you try to compartmentalize, eventually it's going to roll over into other areas of your life. So,
Mhm.
in that program, we do focus on business building, but we also look at the whole person. Or, is your energy low? Is your mindset tanking? What is going on with you that needs to be attended to so that you can thrive in all areas of your life? So we do, work life balance, inner critic work. If there's imposter syndrome, we work through that. Um, all of the things that I talk about in my YouTube channel, but we actually implement and do the real nitty gritty kind of coaching stuff in that
Okay.
program.
And you brought
Yeah.
up your YouTube channel. So I don't think the last 2 times that you were on here, I don't think we really chatted about your YouTube channel. So tell everyone about the YouTube channel, what it's all about, what you talk about over there.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, it's I've been doing the YouTube channel for over a year and a half now, so it's, you know, morphed a little bit over time as things do. It's shifted a little bit, but essentially the same things that I'm always going to talk about are going to be how people thrive as a whole. So your self-care, setting boundaries where you need to set them, finding that people don't always like work-life balance. I use that term, but you know, finding the flow and harmony in all areas of your life so it fits cohesively together. And then you know, the self-doubt, inner critic, the things that I've mentioned that I do in the workshop and that I do in the one day workshop and then the program that I just implemented. It's the same stuff that I talk about on YouTube, but where I used to talk about it from a, you know, just for women, I've started talking more specifically about this is how you continue to build your business through building yourself. And
Okay.
so focuses on helping the busy business owner, helping the woman who's running her business and also running a family and all of those things to find her harmony and to work through those hurdles where most of us don't want to give back to ourselves. It feels selfish, you know, taking time for me. What right do I have? These people depend on me. I had kids, and it is my obligation to ensure that they're cared for and thriving and all of those things. And all of that is true, but that doesn't mean you have to put yourself in the back seat and wait until someday, right? Until they graduate and all of those things. So it's a lot of the same thing that I've been talking about for a very long time because it's where I'm passionate. It's the things that I truly deeply believe in. It's the things that I light up around when I get to talk about. But it's just geared more towards also focusing on this is how you continue to build your business.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Does it make
Got you.
sense? I
Yes,
feel
it
like
does.
that.
It makes sense. No, I got you. I got you. And then also you talk about and you do a little segment on there as well about like military spouses. Can you chat a little bit about that? Because I'm pretty sure I have somebody maybe who is a military spouse or in the military who may listen to this. And I know that you yourself were in the military and now you're currently a military spouse or has your husband retired? I can't remember.
Retired. It's I don't know, about 2 years ish that he
Okay.
retired. So yes, I was in the army. I met my husband while we were both serving in the army. I got out after my first enlistment. He stayed for a full 20-year retirement, and then he retired a couple years ago. And then during that time, I was a stay-at-home mom through most of his career. And
Okay.
then you know, I really, really wanted to have something that belonged to me. So during that time is when I started kind of exploring what could I do from home that I can continue to stay at home with my kids, but I could have something that contributes to the household financially, that fills my own cup, because I just a lot of stay-at-home moms and especially a lot of military spouses who don't stay home by choice necessarily, more so out of necessity because of the nature of, you know, the military lifestyle. um, we tend to stay home, but there's that gap. Like I'm not pursuing a passion. I'm not serving a deeper purpose where my heart's calling for me to do so. And that can be really difficult. And a lot of us find that in starting a business. And so, because that is where my journey began, through doing it as a military spouse and understanding the hurdles that comes along with it every time you have to move, or your husband goes to the field, or not necessarily your husband, but your spouse goes to the field, or you know, to a deployment or whatever, and having to figure out, okay, now it's just me doing all the things that he was doing and the things that I was doing, and I still have to balance, make sure that my cup is filled, that I am pursuing the things that matter to me beyond, you know, motherhood and being a military spouse. And so the reason that I started talking more specifically to military spouses is because I understand the journey, and I realized that that is a community. Mompreneurs are served very well.
Mhm.
Like there are a ton of coaches and women in the service industry that serve mompreneurs, and I think that's incredible. Being a military spouse has a whole entire challenge on top of that that not everybody understands, but I do. And so I can get to the root of what's going on in that community and help them through that. So I floundered through a lot of it, and it was hard. And I know how not to now. And I can't just hold on to that information for me. So
Right.
in order for people to understand, like, hey, I know what you're going through, I took it to YouTube so that, you know, they can find me there and go, oh, this lady can help me. Or, you know, she
Right.
has information that really does serve my lifestyle. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I love you should do like I'm throwing stuff out there for you now, giving
Yeah,
you
do
stuff
it.
to do, giving you something, but you should do like
Add to my
oh,
to-do list. Why not?
add to your to-do list. You should just do like a whole podcast just focused on like military and military spouses instead of just doing like the segment. You should just do like a whole podcast on it. You should just start a podcast
Oh, I
about that.
do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I do. So I don't talk about my podcast because sadly, I just don't have the time for it to be my focus.
Okay,
But I
got you.
actually do have a podcast. And
Oh,
I do put new episodes out. So whatever I talk about on YouTube gets put into podcast. But
okay.
almost all of the time now I'm speaking to military spouses. So the podcast is very much targeted for military spouse business owners.
Okay. See
I
there?
know, I
Yeah.
know, I know. Blindsided you.
You and then you got to get this out there more and talk about
I
it
know.
more. And so, what's the name of it?
Purpose, power, and productivity.
Okay. So, purpose, power, and productivity. We need
Yeah.
to get this out there. If you're doing the YouTube channel and you're already putting it over there to the podcast, like you can talk about both of them then, Heather.
I know,
I'm
I know, I know. Slap me upside the head. Got it.
I'm not understanding this, Heather. I'm not.
Okay, let's rewind. Hey, did I tell you that I have a podcast now?
There we go. No, you didn't, Heather. Oh my gosh, that is so great. I'm so excited for you because I think the last time you were on here, we talked about you having a podcast, and I'm very proud of you for going for it and doing it.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you. I
welcome.
did. I finally did go for it somewhere around the late last year. So,
Okay. Well, I'm very proud of
yeah,
you. You have to talk about it more and promote it and tell people all
I
about it.
know. You're not
Mhm.
wrong.
I know. Okay. So in my famous words that I always like to tell my son, I'm never wrong. And he's like, "Yes, you are, mommy. Everybody's wrong sometimes." I'm like, "Yeah, not me though. Not me."
It's so
Yeah.
funny. I tell my kids the other way around. I used to joke with them and say the same thing. 'Cause I think it's hilarious, but now I tell my kids because they're a little older, and so well, I think one of mine is actually the same age as yours, but my kids
Yes.
being 11 and 9, I do joke with them. I'm sarcastic, like
Me
every
too.
day in and out. It's part of who I am. But also, like my one of my kids is I can already tell he has that perfectionism that I struggled with my entire life.
Mm,
And my daughter, she can be really hard on herself too. And so I make it a point to tell them when I screw up and make it very obvious and not like in like a self-depreciating way, but oh man, I made a mistake and letting them know like it's an opportunity
right.
for me to correct it. But adults make mistakes too, and it's okay for
Right.
you to make them as well. And my so my kids, they're the best. I have the best kids. They said my son will argue with me that I don't make mistakes. And I'm like,
Oh, see? See, mine's the opposite.
like because of the perfectionist tendencies. Um,
Yeah.
but okay, go to bat on mommy's behalf, dude. I love
Yeah.
it.
See, my son is the opposite. So, okay, so one, he has learned what sarcasm means. And so two, whenever I do say, I'm like, okay, yeah, mommy's never wrong. But I'm like, what was I right about this time? He's like, mommies are wrong sometimes. Like they get it wrong too. And when I make a mistake, like I'm like you, I'll own up to it. But when I do it, because now he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Did you just say you were wrong? Like I thought mommies were never wrong. He was like, oh, but you were wrong, right? I'm like, you know what? You're and so I think that's how it was either that or something else that he said. And he's not like disrespectful or rude about it or anything, but he's
No.
kind of like calling me out on it, like, oh, I thought you said you were never wrong. And here you are saying that you were wrong or that you didn't get it right. And I can't remember exactly how I had to end up explaining sarcasm to him, but it was something that either he was doing or I was doing or something. Somebody said something, I was like, well, that was sarcasm. And he was like, well, what's sarcasm? And I explained it to him. So now whenever someone says something, he'll be like, I think that was sarcasm. Or he'll say something sometimes and he's like, I wasn't being he doesn't say sarcastic, he says
Yeah.
sarcasm. So he's like, I wasn't being sarcasm. I'm like, okay, first of all, it's sarcastic. Like, let's that down first there, dude. Oh, he's like, well, I promise you, mommy, I wasn't being sarcasm. And I'm like, okay, I understand that you were not being sarcastic in that. He was like, okay. So it's hilarious, but yeah, I get it.
It
They're just
I love watching them learn. My kids are not gonna escape it in my house. My husband's like he is what you get on from him is what you get from him. There's nothing under the surface as far as like sarcasm or just like waiting to poke fun at you or anything like that. He's a pretty straightforward guy. But me, like through and through, you're gonna get sarcasm all day,
yeah.
every day. So my kids are gonna get it, and they're gonna need to learn it to keep up in my house. And so my kids, when they started learning it, they look at me and I'm like, it's sarcasm, babies. I was just being sarcastic. I'm being silly. Mommy's being silly.
Right.
But when they started learning it, they started trying it on for size. And my kids were like, "Am I doing sarcasm right?" Not yet, but I promise. With me as your mom, you're gonna get there.
Oh my god, I love it. I love it. That's how I am. So like, I remember when my son first started doing. He said something one day, and I was like, you know what, you're being a smart ass. And he was like, I don't know what that means, but no, I'm not. And I'm like, yes, you are. And I'm like, you know how I know that you're being a smart ass? Because I'm one and I can recognize another one. And I'm like, so that's what you're doing right now. So now we have the sarcasm thing going on. But
Mhm.
yes, like you're gonna have to, and my husband, he's a big jokester. So we like to have a lot of fun. I don't know if I told you, but I know I mentioned on the show before, like we play a lot of board games and stuff like that. And we are very competitive when it comes to our board games. Like we're trash talking and all of that. And my son's a hard down trash talker, of course, when he's winning, but then when he's not winning and somebody else starts like saying something, he's kind of like, it's like, dude, you can't dish it if you can't
Mhm.
take it. Like it's all fun and games. We're all having fun. We're all just being silly. And so I remember when he learned what humble was, it was actually throwing a game because he had to be about 4 maybe, and we was playing a game, I don't even remember what game it was, and he was winning, and then he started losing. He was, like, bragging that he was winning and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
then he started losing, and he's like, "Oh, man, I'm losing." I said, "Because you don't know how to be humble." I was like, "You gotta be humble because just like you were winning, you can start losing." I said, You weren't being humble." So, another time we were playing and he was winning, and then he started losing, and he was like, "But I was being humble. I was being humble, and I don't understand why I'm losing now." Oh,
Lesson you took was if you're humble, you get to win.
like, okay, maybe I didn't quite do that lesson right. I was like, okay, so let me try explaining this again to you. But it, like you say, it's just so cool to see their little personalities and to see how they kind of like learn things and pick up on stuff and how they excuse me, and how they interpret it. And it's like, didn't mean for you to interpret that way. Like, I don't know about your kids, but my son, he takes stuff like literally, and it's like, you don't have to be that
Yes, I
literal with
think
it. It's
that's what it is at that age.
yes, yes,
Mhm.
so literal. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be that literal, but it's hilarious. I had something else that I was gonna say that you had mentioned, and I completely forgot. We started talking about our
Shoot off.
kids, and then we did. Well, we were on track, but then it kind of like veered a little bit because it was something that I was going to bring up. But it's cool. So you got your podcast going. Happy for you on that one. So
Mhm.
anything else new or exciting that you got going on, Heather?
So that's it. I mean, like, that's enough.
Yeah, that
That's a
is.
lot.
I'll agree
But
with you
no,
on
that's
that one.
pretty much it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think that
cool.
pretty much covers it. At this point, as a solopreneur, I think I have everything that I can absolutely tolerate on my plate. If I add anything more, I'm gonna need to start building a team. And that's just gonna have to come a little more, a little further ways down the road.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, sometimes I look at stuff and I'm like, I need a team, and I'm like, oh yeah, they might want to get paid though. So we're gonna have
Yeah.
to I'm hold off on that right now. So for right now, I am the team over here, but
Mhm.
yeah, no, I get it. It's great. It's great. Well, it has just been, I really wish I could remember what it was that I was going to say. I'm going to think about it as soon as we finish recording, and then I'm going to be really upset and really mad at myself for it, but I'll figure it out at some
No.
point in time. So, well, is there anything else you would like to share with us today, Heather?
Yeah, actually, since you're asking, I have now this isn't new, but it's a thing that I have. So I wrote a book a couple years ago,
Yes,
actually.
that's what it was.
Was that what it was? I'm
That's
coming
what
up on
it
my
was. It was
3-year
the book.
anniversary. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary of having published this book. I published it on my 40th birthday. But anyway, so I wrote the book. It's on Amazon. You can buy paperback or hard copy, but I'm bringing it up because I offer the digital copy for free now.
Okay.
And so it's a book about, it's a little bit of my journey on a lot of how to and mindset on how to go from being a stay at home mom to starting a home based business. And so the
Okay.
book is called More Than Mom. And so I was wanting to share the digital copy with your listeners if they're
Yes.
interested.
Yes, make sure that you send me that link so that I can link it into the show notes. So yes, I'm so happy that you brought that up because that was what I wanted to talk about was the book because as you said, you just kind of started talking about it a little bit more because I don't think you mentioned it the last two times that you were on the show, and I saw a picture of it on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh, Heather wrote a book. That's
Mhm.
so amazing!" So, More Than Mom, I
Yeah.
love it, and I wrote over here on my notes. I wrote More Than Book, and I'm looking. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. More than Mom. So I was super excited, and definitely would love for people to get a digital copy because I think sometimes it's nice to hear stuff from other people's perspective. I think we talked about this before a lot of times we especially as mom or just women in general we feel like we're in the trenches by ourselves and that no one else has been there or that no one else is ever going to go through it and understand it and I've said it before and I've heard a lot of times that what you go through is not for you, it's so that you can help someone else. And I just think that we need to do more of like sharing, not saying that you have to share every little detail or get more personal than you want to, but just letting people know that like things aren't perfect, things aren't great. And I know that like a lot of things come with stereotypes, being in the military, having a military or being a military spouse comes with its own stereotypes. Like people for some reason think that people who are in the military are super rich and all of this stuff. And
Oh
you and I both
gosh.
I both know that's far from the truth as me growing up military and you being in it and having a
Yeah, if
spouse who
you
was in
think
it.
that, please reach out and ask questions because I'm about to school you. This
Yeah.
is people in the military are not rich. Those who, we don't have to get into that here, but
Yeah.
certainly no,
Well, yeah,
no.
so like that has its own stereotype there, or people assume that because you're a stay-at-home, mom or parent or whatever, that your spouse is bringing in all this money, and that may not even be the truth. It may just be that if both of you are
Yeah,
at work,
most of us are
child ca-
budgeting hardcore during those
and that's
years, is
yeah,
what it
that's what's
is.
it's like serious budgeting because childcare costs, like $2,500 a month or something crazy like that. I was just talking to one of my family members just had a baby, and I was talking to the dad, and we were talking about like childcare, and it's like two well probably like up to $300 a week or something crazy like that now for a newborn. So it's like no, the person's probably staying home because they would spend their whole check on daycare, and it's just
Yeah, what's
easier
the point on taking your check and signing it over to the daycare? You might
to
as
the
well just
daycare.
not get the check and be the daycare.
Right. So in so many, and then even the stereotypes of, oh, you own a business, so you have all this money coming in. But as me and you just said, like, we would love to have a team or some help, but we're not at that point yet. And so I just think hearing other people speak their truths and tell, a little bit about, okay, hey, no, this is what it really looks like. This is what I went through. This is what I know other people to go through. I think it really helps people more than we realize because now they know that
Um,
oh they fully understand and realize that there's someone else is in the trenches with them or someone else that went through the trenches. And I know for me personally when I read other stuff like that it's like okay, they got through it, I can get through it too. Like now how are we gonna get through this? How are we gonna move on from it? So definitely y'all like check out that book and
Yeah.
just see what Heather's
Yeah,
sharing and talking about.
please do. Actually, do we have a few more minutes? There was something you were
Yeah.
just it's what you just shared was perfect for what was on my mind when you mentioned that I wasn't really talking about my book much until kind of recently. And that's true. It wasn't, and there's a reason for that. And so what you said is a perfect segue into why. I I wrote the book and I
Mhm.
published it. And to be clear, writing, I was very proud of the accomplishment, super excited to have gotten it out on paper. And it's an incredibly vulnerable thing to write a book. Like, there's nothing
Yes.
deeply, deeply personal in there. I share personal stuff. There's nothing like, oh my gosh, deep dark secrets, right? Nothing like that. And so a book it is a very vulnerable thing to put out into the world. A piece of you has just left and now gone out into the world for people to see, people to judge, all of these things. And so when I put the book out, I was excited and I announced it. And then I got really quiet about it for a long time. When I say long, I'm talking like a year and a half. I got
Mhm.
really quiet about my book because I hit a horrible phase of imposter syndrome. I just didn't want people like I was creating the whole time. I have a library of things that I created that like announced quietly just to trick my brain. Like, what are you talking about? You said it. You No, I was really in this horrible phase of imposter syndrome. And so I got nervous that the book wasn't good enough, that what I was sharing wasn't good enough, that what I was creating wasn't valuable enough. And so I didn't really want people to see it, even though I was pretending that I was doing the thing. So I really, if nothing else today, I hope people have stayed and listened and hear this part. I am a life coach. I have been coaching for 4 years. And even after a couple years of being a coach, I fell into a horrible period of imposter syndrome where I was feeling like I wasn't enough. Like what I was creating wasn't enough to share with the world. Like somebody was definitely doing it better than me. So what is the point? And I know people can relate to this. And so I actually went through a training to heal my own imposter syndrome and to learn to get other people to be able to coach others through their imposter syndrome. So it can be healed. And to be clear, it's not the same as self-doubt. So those few little mindset tricks, don't do it to overcome that imposter syndrome. The reason that I show up, and now I can talk about that book with confidence and with pride, and I can talk about the workshop that I just released and the group coaching program that I just opened up, is because I healed the imposter syndrome. So, um, yeah, if that is a thing that you are noticing, you're not alone. Even people who have done the inner work go through things like this, but you can heal it. So that's the great news.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that, Heather, because yeah, like you said, it's something that we all struggle. We all struggle with it, whether you want to admit it or not. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Yes. All right.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
before we go, tell everyone again where they can find you at and connect with you.
Okay, so on pretty much most of the major platforms, I'm some version of Heather Jones Coaching. So if you just type Heather Jones Coaching, you're gonna find me. But the easiest way is probably just to go to my website, and it's heatherjonescoaching.com.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, Heather. As always, it has been a pleasure talking with you. I have enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Likewise, I appreciate you having me on again.
Always, anytime. That's it for today's episode of the Glow Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're walking away with something that fuels your journey. And remember, glow boldly, live purposefully, and I'll talk to you next time. Loving the Glow Podcast? Let the world know. Head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star rating and review. It helps more amazing listeners like you find the show and gets us featured in other shows' recommendations.